With all the technological advances we made with the internet, cell phones, and social media, it seems like we should be more interconnected. But in fact, there's many stats that say that divorce is on a rise, kids aren't talking to their parents, there's a TV in every room, and no one's getting along. Well, we are very grateful to have a community organizer here today to help us connect and put the family back together. I'm Kimberly Warren. You are watching TBN's Joy in Our Town. Hang on to your seat. You're in for a treat. Pastor Marvin Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It is good having you here. Well,
yes.
Your name is almost a household name across the Kansas City, Kansas, and Missouri area. We know you as, many people may know you as a musician, as a pastor, but we want to talk today about this wonderful community learning center called Community Connections Life Center.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Community Connections Life Center. We want to talk about what need was this community center birthed out of?
The need was primarily birthed out of the need of that we had a lot of senior citizens in our community that were not active as we thought that they should be. And a lot of times when people don't have anything to do, they tend to go, if you say down the hill, if you will. But we thought we would provide some services that would connect our ministry with the community, thus build the kingdom.
And your little slogan is to enrich, engage, and empower.
Yes.
Are people engaged? Do you see that we're going towards the trend of isolation?
You know, people are, it's strange. We live in a whole different time now. You know, it used to be the family, the entire family was engaged. You know, if Big Mama said we're going to do this, we did it. You know, if Mom or Dad said we're going to do this, and now we're so disconnected. You know, so thus Community Connections is to try to bring those dots and bring them all together again the best we can to empower our community.
How are you doing that? Through what avenues? And are you using your music, your preaching skills to motivate and encourage? How do you do that? This is a daunting task.
Kim, we're using everything. It's like, as you well know, we have to use every skill, every ability that God has given us to master this situation that we're involved in. And so from music, from education, to motivational speaking, to different other, even educational things where we can teach them how to do things from a technological perspective, computers, everything that we're trying to do to bring these families all back together.
Let's talk about the moms and pops. If you have two in the home, one of the stats that I read this morning said there are 44% of couples that go to bed with their cell phones. What is going on? And it says 67% of people in general look at their cell phones several times a day, even when it's not buzzing or alerting them, just because we're that connected. So how do you reach those people, get them to come out of their homes and engage as a community? Well,
we have to use technology. We have to use technology. The church cannot be afraid of technology. I recognize that it is a daunting task for some of the cell phones we have now, the computers, the iPads, everything that we use now is a challenge. But the world, this is how it operates. I wish I could get the people to keep the Bible with them like they keep the cell phone with them. But because the cell phone is primarily our lives now, email, texting, pictures, it's instant gratification is what we're getting. So how we connect with that, or I don't know how you can ever really separate, because it's here now, and I don't think it's ever going to go back. And so we have to use that to help us perpetuate the gifts and the talents in which our Community Connection organization is designed to do.
Wonderful. Your mission is the Community Connections Life Center mission is to empower the family, engage them, enrich communities through captivating programs that develop character, talent, and resources. No pressure there. Wow. What's going on with the character of our youth? You know, every day we're seeing some horrible crime.
Yes.
Because of how they're acting out of their frustration in life. What do you have to say to that?
Our young people are one of our our most valuable resources that the enemy is attacking and trying to destroy at an infant stage. And I often talk about we have so much talent with our young people, but they lack character. And when you don't have character along with talent, it won't last long. And so we're trying to teach bring moral fiber back into the minds and hearts of our young people. It used to be taught at home. Now, God bless the church, is sometimes has to be the only other avenue in which these type of areas can be taught in. So we're trying to just work with our young people, instill good quality moral and values and Christian values into them, that hopefully we can save some of this generation.
What do you have to teach about resources or being resourcefulness? Because many families are dealing with economical disadvantages. What's going to make the difference between those that are winning and those that continue to stay in that generational cycle of poverty?
Kim, it is necessary that we teach. Education is a hallmark. It is the main thing that we have got to put and instill our young people. Everybody's not going to be a rapper. Everybody's not going to be the basketball player or the football player. I mean, that's very, very low percentile. You know, we've got to teach them how to operate and survive in the 21st century. So Community Connections, providing education all the time. We also do, like, we're cameras right here. They're looking at us and shooting us now. We have people who work in our audio visual. We teach our kids. Everybody won't be in front of the camera, but we'll always need people behind the camera. And so from audio visual, from movies, different type of things, commercials, computers, computer technology, designing apps, different things like that. We're trying to challenge their minds to let them know that there is an opportunity for you, and we can hopefully save a percentage of this generation.
Wonderful. If you're just now tuning in to Joy in Our Town, our special guest is CEO of Community Connections Life Center, Pastor Marvin Jackson, who is talking about how to enrich, engage, and empower the entire family. If you would like to contact him about the different community education classes that he is talking about today, we were going to put the information on the screen. They're located at 13111. That's 13111 Spring Street in Grandview, Missouri. And the number is 816-767-0060. That's 767-0060. And we'll also put more information throughout the show so you can contact them and see how to access the programs that they have. I want to talk to you a little bit about this technology center that you endeavor to build. And we are talking about how technology has to be used as a tool.
Has to be.
How are you going to connect the mature generation that may not catch on as fast? What are some of your plans to engage them with technology?
We have often thought about how that grandmother always loves the babies. And so what we're doing is we're putting them both in the same environment. Sometimes our seniors are a little challenged when it comes to technology. Our kids, they have it. From, I would say, second, third grade, they're already on it. So we are merging the two together, where grandmother and a child is in the same classroom, to where they can learn together and they work together. And so they're helping each other to learn. And oftentimes I see young people helping their moms put phone numbers in their phones, or showing them how to bring an email in, or go to YouTube, if you will. And so we're trying to partner them all together to where they're working in the same environment, and thus we're trying to put together a computer environment to where all of them can work together, and thus hopefully this brings success in the family and also bring them closer together.
That's wonderful intergenerational learning there. How will that have an effect on the young people and teaching them to respect someone that has a slower pace and respecting their elders?
It teaches patience. And I think once they're working with, we want them to bring their mother and bring the child, or bring your grandmother and bring the grandchild. Bring them in to teach them how important it is, all the life lessons that grandma or mother have taught you. This is now an opportunity for you to give back. You don't always have money, you don't always have those type of resources, but you can take time and show them something that will sustain them in this society.
Wonderful. Well, some of your goals are to address needs of anger management, self-confidence, self-discipline, leadership, civic engagement, conflict, and all of this by Tuesday, right? How are you going to achieve this, and what type of setting will you present these different learning objectives?
We actually use the one of the boardrooms in our church, and we bring them in, and we bring people in like you and other community leaders, whether it's dealing with finances. Finance is a real big problem in our community. I believe that it births so many different illnesses in our community because the lack of. And if we can teach people that there is opportunities out here for you to gain financially, I believe that a lot of our ills in our society will dissipate. And so we're showing them, we're not giving them fish, we're showing them how to fish. And so as long as we can show them how to fish, Kim, I believe that we'll prosper their lives.
Wonderful. If you're just now tuning in, again, we have the CEO, Pastor Marvin Jackson, here talking about community education with the Community Connections Life Center. You can contact them simply. The information's on the screen. They're located at 13111 Spring Street in Grandview, Missouri, serving people from Missouri and Kansas side. The number is 816-767-0060 if you would like to engage, enrich, and empower the community as well. In closing, what do you have to say with all of these young men who are shooting and killing? And we have a big problem not only, in Ferguson, but right here, and how these young men are handling their grievances. Can you speak life to that situation, and how are you going to engage those people at most at risk for the prison scene or high school dropout?
Well, I do want to say that these programs that are being made in our community, in our society, they are building prisons predicated on 3rd and 4th grade reading scores.
Wow.
And if you're not educated, they're already saying that the penitentiary is your home. As a 3rd grader or 4th grader, this is crazy. Wow. It's ludicrous. And so what we're doing is doing a program called Manpower. And we're bringing men in the room together with older, middle-aged, teenagers, even our young boys, to show even those persons who have had a challenge in the penal institution or went down that road, to come in and mentor and let these other young people know this is not the way. Oftentimes when we bring people from certain situations, they're unable to connect with them. But if we bring people from the community that they can see and relate to, I think we can have some valuable change.
Wonderful. Thank you, Marvin Jackson,
so
for being
much, Kim.
here. And we want to thank you all for watching TBN Joy in Our Town. Again, if you want to contact Pastor Marvin Jackson, our community organizer and CEO of Community Connections Life Center, it's 13111 Spring Street, Grandview, Missouri, 816-767-0060 to become engaged, enriched, and empower in all the community education programs. I'm Kimberly Warren. We want to thank you for watching TBN Kansas City St. Joseph Joy in Our Town.
TBN TV 16 would like to encourage you to partner with us in collecting turkeys for a local outreach ministry, Food for Kids. Food for Kids, located at 19th and Massaini in St. Joseph, is in need of 450 turkeys to pass out to needy families in our community this year. The turkeys will be frozen until distribution on November 6th. Please contact Food for Kids at 713-514-2843 for more information. This outreach is a part of TBN's His Hand Extended Ministry.
laugh and the whole world laughs with you. Snore and you sleep alone. Today we are going to talk about getting a good night's rest and how imperative that is for your optimal overall well-being. I'm Kimberly Warren. Hang on to your seat. You're in for a treat, and you are watching TBN's Joy in Our Town. Dr. Scott Shorten, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have you here. Let's introduce you to the rest of the people that are watching. We know you represent North Kansas City Hospital, but what is your specialty in medicine?
So I am a neurologist, and I pursued further training in the field of sleep medicine.
Okay. Well, you know, one of the studies that we just recently read from the Sleep Foundation says there's 18 million Americans that suffer from sleep apnea. And so that's why you're here. Tell us, what kind of hope can you give the people that are watching today?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Very common disorder. It does have a different predisposition for men and women, so depending on which study you look at, percentage-wise across the board, some studies would suggest as many as 15% of men and 5% of women would have sleep apnea. But like you said, there is a lot of hope as well for treatment options.
Do you believe that sleep is one of the golden chains that binds our optimal health together?
Absolutely. I mean, and the more research is done, the more it seems to associate poor sleep with poor other factors of health, whether that's increased risk for heart disease, high blood pressure, and the list just seems to keep expanding on parts of health that sleep influences.
As a child, many families know that it's best for growth spurts in kids to have 8 to 10 hours, 6 hours, so many hours of sleep, and we focus on that. As adults, people with all this technology tend to take the cell phone to bed and work around the clock. What's going on with America here?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think for many years, as a society, we didn't value sleep as much as we should. I think increasingly I'm encouraged that that is starting to be recognized as an important part of overall health, and accordingly people are starting to focus on it more.
Dr. Shorten, can you explain in layman's terms, what is sleep apnea?
Sure. So when we say sleep apnea, most people are talking about obstructive sleep apnea. What that means is that when we fall asleep, certain people are predisposed to have their airway collapse. And therefore they don't exchange air in their lungs, and their oxygen levels in the blood drop. So that can occur many, up to hundreds of times in a given night, and each time when the airway blocks off, their oxygen falls and their brain has to wake up momentarily to take a breath, to open their airway again. And it's all of that disturbance in their sleep throughout the night that typically causes the symptoms associated with it.
So what are some of the telltale signs? If someone's snoring, do you say, I think maybe you have sleep apnea, or maybe they just had a hard day at work? What are some of the symptoms and signs we should look for?
Right, snoring is a big one because snoring, the sound is produced when the back of the airway, the space between the back of the tongue and the roof of the mouth, the sound is produced when that space between there becomes very narrow, so that the passing air vibrates those tissues and produces the snoring sound. So the degree of difference between when there's enough space to produce snoring and when the airway is completely collapsed, that difference is very small. So snoring is a big risk factor.
How should people feel if they probably have a case of sleep apnea, whether it's severe or whether it's just the beginning stages of it?
Yes, so certainly because the sleep is disrupted all night when when a person is not getting good oxygen, then they're likely to be very sleepy during the daytime. That's probably the most common effect from it. But mood changes can be associated with it. Some people may complain of decreased performance at work or in their studies. In particular, women seem to complain less about the daytime sleepiness, but they may have this sense that their sleep quality is poor, or that they are waking up throughout the night and they don't have a good reason why.
So there are various types and degrees of sleep apnea.
Yeah, so we generally will stratify it between mild, moderate, and severe, and that's based on the number of times that a a disruption in the breathing occurs per hour.
There's a lot of people reading books and looking at shows and listening to radios and trying to self-medicate themselves. And, you know, the world of insomnia and the pills and everything, it seems like there may be a quick fix to everything. So can you please tell people, if it's not treated, how that can affect it, or if it's treated on your own, why that may not be the best route?
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring that up, because when we focus on treatment, we can target two different things. Number one is the daytime symptoms, which commonly, if we treat it, then a person feels more energetic, more cognitively sharp. But as you mentioned too, there are some long-term risk factors that are increased if a person has sleep apnea that's not treated. And the ones that have some of the best evidence for being a risk factor include heart attack, stroke, high blood pressure, possibly diabetes, and then in folks who do have some medical conditions already, such as heart failure or atrial fibrillation, then those can be made worse by untreated sleep apnea.
So what came first, the poor sleep or the heart problem? Do you know which affects which?
And that is a perfect question that a lot of studies have tried to sort out. And certainly it can be the case that sleep apnea, even before any other health problems, can increase the risk of those health problems.
We're going to put some information on the screen just in case we don't get all the questions in, and then we're going to talk about, we know what the problem is, we're going to talk about some solutions that you all have for the viewers today. Again, our special guest is Dr. Scott Shorten. He is a medical doctor, a neurologist with a subspecialty in sleep medicine with North Kansas City Hospital. You may contact them for more information at 221-HEAL. The website is also on the screen. They're located at 2800 Clay Edwards Drive in Kansas City, Missouri. And again, the number is 221-HEAL. So can we talk about, if someone thinks, you know, this is out of control, I don't want to manage this by myself anymore, what does the hospital have to offer them, and how accessible is it?
Sure. So step one is establishing the diagnosis. That's done in one of a couple of ways. The most traditional way is coming into the laboratory set up at the hospital or at an off-site location where the patient is monitored during a full night's sleep. They have some sensors put onto the scalp and under the nose to measure the airflow, and a couple of bands on the chest and the abdomen, and that helps to measure how hard it takes, how much work they have to use to take a breath. But then all these signals are just collected over the course of the night. There's also an oxygen sensor, so as breathing disruptions occur, we can see, you know, how does that cause the oxygen to drop in the blood.
At what age is this prevalent? Do you see children that have these sleep disorders, or is it something that occurs as we age?
Children can have this too. Usually when it occurs in children, it is strongly influenced by the size of the tonsils. As we get into adulthood, the tonsils seem to make less of a difference, and it increases with age up until about 65 years old. Then it starts to plateau, and it doesn't seem to increase prevalence after that.
So what are some of the treatments that you recommend once there has been a diagnosis there and we've already tried to fix it with our own home remedies?
Right. So the standard treatment, and I should say not the only necessarily the only option, but the best and the most effective treatment is with what's called a CPAP, which stands for continuous positive airway pressure. And as we were kind of talking, that the nature of sleep apnea is that the airway collapses in on itself when we sleep, or when a patient with sleep apnea falls asleep. The continuous positive airway pressure delivers extra pressure into that airway to help hold that back of the throat and the tongue open so that airway can pass like it normally should.
Wow, this is great. What advice would you give someone who feels like they have it and they're listening today and they may think, oh, it's premature, I've just had, again, a stressful week, and maybe, you know, this is going to change. Is there a magic moment where you say, okay, it's time, or you see 3 out of 5 of the symptoms? What would you say to them right now if they feel that there is a concern there?
Certainly, if there's a concern, then it definitely warrants looking into it further. The main reason for that is sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea, usually doesn't come on all at once like a ton of bricks. It's usually a gradually worsening process. And unfortunately, people can become acclimated to their level of daytime sleepiness as time passes, so that they may not recognize that they have become worse over time. So I would say that if they are starting to feel some symptoms like that, then that is definitely a good warning sign.
Tell us about the success stories. After we have the CPAP, after we have the diagnosis, what kind of quality of life can we look forward to?
That's probably the most rewarding thing for me, is seeing a patient after we've got them on a treatment and after we've adjusted their pressure so that it holds their airway open very well. And just see a remarkable difference. I mean, their workplace performance improves, a lot of time mood improves, and of course, just quality of life in general, being able to be alert and not accidentally falling asleep through the day really makes a big difference.
Wonderful. 18 million. You're going to be working on this for quite some time, aren't you?
That's right, and I'm really fortunate to be able to do so because, like I said, it makes a big difference for a lot of people.
Wonderful. Is this inherited? Can it be prevented?
So it is inherited to the degree that is influenced by the structure of our jaw and our skull. So it all goes back to kind of the airway in the back of the throat. So certain families tend to have perhaps jaws that are set farther back, which makes the airway smaller, or just the craniofacial structures in different ethnicities makes a difference for that dynamic also.
Okay, we're going to put the information on the screen again. In closing, we want to thank Dr. Shorten, who has been here to represent the North Kansas City Hospital. Our hot topic has been sleep medicine and specifically sleep apnea. If you would like to give them a call to see if this test is appropriate for you or just to ask general questions about enhancing the quality of life, you can contact them at 816-221-HEAL, HEAL. That's again 816-221-HEAL. The website is also on the screen, and they are available to entertain any questions that you may have. If the world were yours, Dr. Shorten, what would you do with this daunting task of enhancing the quality of life for these millions of?
Well, we talked about the one treatment. There are other potential treatment options, so I would encourage people to not be dissuaded from undergoing the test just because they think that the CPAP is the only answer. Okay. But, good treatment exists, and it can make a big difference, would be my message.
Is there a cure for this? Is it something we're going to outgrow or get over?
There isn't a cure per se, except that we know that the treatment is extremely effective and can eliminate the disordered breathing at night.
Okay, you heard it right there from Dr. Scott Shorten with the North Kansas City Hospital. Again, the information is on the screen, 816-221-HEAL, and the website for the North Kansas City Hospital is also there as well. Dr. Shorten, please come back again, and thank you for the service you provide for the community.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm pleased to be here.
And we want to thank each of you for watching TBN, Kansas City, St. Joseph, Joy in Our Town. I'm Kimberly Warren. Have a wonderful week.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telephone dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.